Hello everybody. We have a game with the white pieces against Edward, rated 1641. We have the bishop's opening, and he copies us. Okay, so there are lots of possible moves here, but I'm going to play what's called the Lewis Gambit. And he immediately snatches that pawn. I'm going to develop my knight towards the center, threatening to win my pawn back by taking the bishop and developing a second piece. So he develops a piece and threatens our pawn. We could take the bishop, and that's really nice to have the dark square bishop. So I'm going to do that. He doesn't have to, okay, so he recaptures, and we could take the pawn in the center with our queen. Material's even, so no more gambit. And pretty normal position if I say so. Okay, so he goes d6, opens up some lines for his bishop, ready to attack my queen. So I'm going to go bishop g5, developing a new piece, pressuring the knight so that if he hits my queen, I could take the knight, counterattacking his queen. So I get a knight, and then he can't. Well, he can. He gets a queen. I get a queen. He gets a pawn. I go here. I don't know. Either way, he didn't do that. He went here, protecting the knight so I don't double his pawns. We could castle, or we could bring out our other knight. I'm going to bring out our other knight. This lets us possibly queenside castle as an extra option. So now all of our minor pieces are out, whereas his is stuck, his last one. So he moves his queen, which doesn't really do anything because he's still in a pin. Maybe he's trying to queen trade, something like that, but I'm not going to. And just to disallow his queen from coming here and his knight from coming here, I'm going to play this move f4, and then I'm going to castle queenside. If I castled queenside first, he could have put something here. So he hits the bishop. We could maintain. If he goes here, we take it. Yeah. So let's just maintain the pin. No reason to give it up just yet. And look at this center, really nice. So he strikes out with c5, hitting the queen, but this creates a nice big hole here for our pieces. Very nice for us. And we're just going to move our queen. Where do we want to move our queen? I guess ideally to defend this pawn, maybe here. Let's just go here and keep it simple. It also gives third rank access. Okay, so he moves his knight, opening his bishop, hitting our bishop, and such. I think now is a good time to long castle. Okay, so now we long castled. We're ready to put our knight here. He takes the bishop, so we're forced to recapture. But our development is way better than his development. He throws in this move, which would come for free. We do have this check. We also have knight in the center. The check doesn't seem to do much. Knight in the center, however, seems to do quite a lot. So let's improve our piece instead of moving the queen for no reason, right? Because we want this knight here anyway. This is where we want it. So now this is open, and he resigns. So that was easy. Move 14. But if he took this way with the bishop, right, I was going to take with the pawn or with the rook. I was going to take with the pawn because that opens up the e-file, which would stare at his queen and king. He would be forced to castle. I would still get in rook e1. He'd have to move his queen. And his position's terrible. So let's go through the game. We start with the bishop's opening, but because he copies us, we play this move that blasts open the center, d4, Lewis Gambit, because it hangs this pawn, which he takes. And this just opens up lines for us. So we give up a pawn, but our pieces are going to have good development. Our queen has a line already. And we develop with tempo because we're threatening to take the bishop pair. But he lets us, so, you know, we do it. We take center, development, center, and now, I mean, what could be bad about our position? We're one turn away from castling. We have a bishop staring at his king with an open diagonal. We have a active queen. Even if he kicks it and we have to move one back, it's still super active. We have a pawn in the center that we can kick his knight anytime. Like one turn ago. Yeah, why didn't I do that? Whoops. No, that's just game over. He has to go. No, he has to play d5 if I do that, or he just loses. And then if I take this and he takes this, and I take this and he goes over, then I get the central pawn. Oh no, the queen's covering it. That has to be terrible for him. I'm going to analyze that after, but anyway, he goes here, so now we no longer have the option of kicking the knight because I didn't consider it when I should have. So we just develop a piece and control the center this way, also creating really annoying problems for him. I put on the analysis board actually. I was expecting him to go here, which is what I was like, I thought was a more interesting move, because I was saying what would happen if I take this and he takes my queen, then I have to take his queen. Now he could throw in the check, or he could just take the bishop. If he throws in the check, you attack the knight, and he doesn't have time to get the rook and the bishop. He has to pick one, so then you win. But if he takes the bishop back, well, now material is still even, and you have time to defend this pawn. So that was what I thought he might do, but he didn't do that. And I'm gonna go back actually now that the engine's on. So yeah, takes, and of course push. Oh no, not of course push. Okay, so queen takes is so you can castle, you can take, or you can push. They're all the same. But if you push and he goes d5. Okay, so yeah, d5 holds the balance for him. Queen somewhere, castle. Yeah, so this isn't bad for him. This is good for him because you have nothing else center. Center's so important. Okay, so my move was, I would have gotten in trouble probably if I played e5. So I'm happy because this move seems to be a lot better, considering d5 would have been the response otherwise. I don't like that. Okay. So anyway, we go through the game. We develop a piece. He defends weird. It's already +3 even though we're not up stuff. We play f4 to control this square for one moment. Again, really focusing on the center. Compared to his, you know, it's not even close. We keep the pin because he can't break it without without giving up material. He hits our queen, which is just a weird one-move threat that weakens his position. So we had a forced move. And now we don't address this issue. We long castle because that furthers our development. Now we're threatening this pawn. So he takes forced move. We take back. And, okay. So you were supposed to give the check. But if you give the check, and I turn on the engine, and let's say he goes queen over. Then his bishop's trapped. I didn't even look any further than that. And if he doesn't go queen over and just moves his king, nothing's hanging. So if you play f5 and his bishop goes back here, yeah, that's not as clear as they want you to. Okay, Okay, that hangs the pawn. So if it goes back here, your position is just overwhelming. Okay. But instead, they do not like my knight move because they're saying bishop takes. What's the big deal? He castles. I go rook over. He goes queen over, not to lose his queen. I take his knight, of course, to double his pawns. How's this not bad for black? I mean, it's bad for black. It's just not. They just say the check was like +5 somehow. This looks terrible. This looks awful. But whose turn is it? Okay, so black just moved. Okay, so he's got weaknesses. We want to transfer queen over. So we're going to go here. He's going to bring a rook to the open file probably. We're going to give a checker, take the pawn. If he doesn't and he tries to do this, we can just swing over, force the issue. I guess he's holding with perfect play, but it looks terrible. I don't understand. I wouldn't want to be black here. But yeah, I mean, if the check is like some weird tactical line that automatically wins. So like king f8, f5, bishop back, rook here, queen over. This is just a positional +4 as opposed to the thing I did, which is a positional +1. Not so obvious. The main difference I see is the minor pieces are still on the board. And the pawn. So I guess when you recapture with the pawn, it blocks, it protects his only weakness, the d6 pawn, which you would otherwise pressure with the rooks. So when you have to put the pawn there, less than ideal, which was fine. I guess that does make sense. I had planned on putting a rook here, but I guess in light of castling, it's not as big of a deal. Either way, black still gets slowly crushed in practice, I feel like. But hopefully you learned something from this game. Lewis Gambit, give it a try in your games, and I'll see you in the next one.